ราคาดูข้างบนใช่ไหมน้องผู้ชายคนว่าจะหนักเดี๋ยวไม่เป็นไรเดี๋ยวประกาศ
อ๋อจากหมอจากที่นี่ลลิตาแฟชั่นโอเคครับได้ครับไม่เป็นไรครับตามคือไม่ใช่คือไม่คือจากที่
มาจาก9หมดไปเด็กๆอาจารย์หาเด็กไปช่วยอาจารย์ไม่ทัน ารย์หนูชอบเรื่องนี้อาจารย์หนูชอบเรื่องนี้
เดี๋ยวดู20 ไลค์ไปได้ดู
Good morning, everyone. May I ask that you please come in and sit down so we can get started this morning? Thank you so much. Okay, everyone inside, outside, please come in and take your seats. We're about to start. I would like to warmly welcome everyone to the first Dswip University International Design Symposium in collaboration with Japan's 7th International Conference for Design for Sustainability. My name is Orpan Sarasalin Schaefer. You can call me Im. I'm a faculty member here at the Faculty of Art and Design. My partner David and I run a small office called Studio Make, and we both teach here at the Faculty of Art and Design. In our studio and in our workshops and in our classrooms, we're constantly talking about how design is a practice. Our goal is not to restrain ourselves at some comfortable level of perceived perfection. Design, by definition, is never ever be satisfied. Every project must be better than the last. And it is here that we would like to start this conversation, this idea of a work in progress. We have a very interesting range of speakers here this morning. Before we start, I'd like to make a quick announcement about our translation services. For those of you who have the small headphones, channel 2 is Japanese and channel 3 is Thai, and please don't forget to return that at the end of the day to retrieve your ID card back. Okay, it is my pleasure to introduce a very close friend of mine, the woman whose tireless momentum has made this event possible. No doubt we've all been touched, inspired, and motivated by her infectious enthusiasm to come together as a design community. We are here today to find common ground and to share, and this was the vision of Dean of the Faculty of Art and Design, Associate Professor Pikrapai Sarasalin. Please join me in welcoming her.
President of Rangsit University, Dr. Atit Urairat, President of the Executive Committee of International Design for Sustainability of Japan, Professor Fumi Masuda, President of the Council of Fine and Applied Arts, Dean of Thailand, Professor Sansern Milintasu, Vice President, Deans, Director, distinguished keynote speakers and panel members, distinguished participants, Rangsit University member and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As designer, we craft, make, and invent physical objects, spaces, and visual images to cultivate a quality of life. We have seen that design can be a powerful force that changes the way of life, behavior, culture, education, way of communication, and our perception of the world. The motivations behind what we design are very critical. Our questions, assumptions, experiments, and solutions have proven that design can improve lives and find powerful solutions for man and his environment. Thinking and will continue to reinvent our world with different design approaches that bring together technology, sustainability, craft, qualities that a designer's work in progress should fight for good design. The first Rangsit University International Design Symposium, entitled Work in Progress, is held under the collaboration of the Faculty of Art and Design, the Faculty of Digital Art at Rangsit University, the Council of Fine and Applied Arts Dean of Thailand, and the Executive Committee of International Design for Sustainability. Our committee and participants are composed of professionals and academics from 9 countries: Thailand, Japan, Indonesia, India, Hong Kong, Cambodia, Burma, the Netherlands, and United States of America. The objective of this design symposium are, first, to foster an academic collaboration among international institutions. Second, to be a venue for researchers, designers, artists, thinkers, inventors, and makers from different disciplines to share their work in progress. Third, to discuss ways to build an Asia-style sustainable society and to make understanding of our designers' role and vision in order to create good design as nature does. Sustainability is embedded in the advanced economies of Europe and North America. For this reason, the framework for the sustainability of contemporary civilization has shared the logic of the have countries, taking precedence over the expectation of the have-not and does not lose the diversity of its value. In particular, Asian countries have achieved rapid economic development while still holding on to cultural uniqueness and diversity. As such, we have our own dynamism that can absorb Western definitions of sustainability. If we can build a sustainable society Asian style that will maintain a balance with the natural environment while still retaining this vibrant energy, couldn't this become a global model for the future approach to civilization? We would like to think together in this conference. The result of the traveling workshop, which was comprised of 65 participants from 9 countries, held on the last 2 days at Sunantapunaram Temple, Kanchanaburi, will be presented today. We hope our discoveries will shift our paradigms in terms of coexisting with this world and spotlight the designer's role to fight for what we call on behalf of the Faculty of Art and Design and Faculty of Digital Art here at Rangsit University. I would like to take this opportunity to express my profound gratitude to Dr. Atit Urairat, President of Rangsit University, for his overwhelming support for this conference, and Assistant Professor Sansan Milintasu, Chair of the Council of Fine and Applied Arts Dean of Thailand, for the privilege to invite us to host these our guests, keynote speakers, panel members, and all of our friends and committees from around the world who have made the effort to join us here in Thailand. Thank you to all who share their time and energy to make this conference possible. ขอบคุณค่ะ
I would next like to introduce the man who has literally provided the context for this event. Not only has he provided the physical venue, but also, and perhaps much more importantly, he fosters and encourages the university's engagement in international venue. The draw and scope of this symposium would not have been possible without his generosity, support, and visionary leadership. Please give a round of applause to our president, Dr. Atiku Rairat.
Professor Fubi Masuda, the Executive Committee Chair Professor of Tokyo Sokai University, Professor Sansan Milintasu, the Chairman of the Dean of Arts and Design of Thailand, Mr. Singi Kartono, the founder of Magno Brand, Professor Praveen Ahar, Associate Senior Faculty of Industrial Design, NEET, India, Professor Piprapai Sarasarin, Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Design, distinguished keynote speakers and panel members, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to workshop on the topic Design for Sustainability, which is increasingly important for all of us Earth dwellers with a share of highly experienced keynote speakers whose knowledge in design for sustainability with action-oriented applications have been outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, my office is on the 11th floor of this building. Every day when I walked out of the elevator, I often look out to see the green vegetation as rooftop of the Faculty of Arts and Design gallery. This reminds me of the 100-Wasser house in Vienna, which seen from above, the rooftop are all fresh and green with trees and bushes, fully restored to nature. The building was opened in September 1985 with so many local and overseas visitors queued up to see it. This had proven that deep in people's heart, they still long for being close to nature. If you look around the world right now, we could find that architects, interior and exterior designers, and researchers have been aware of the need for rethinking, redirecting, and reinventing their works to eliminate negative environmental impact through skillful and sensitive design. On my recent visit to Japan, I learned that the concept of sustainable environment had been taken wide-ranging attention of architects in Japan. The Japanese architecture circles are putting forward their countermeasures, which the core is reducing the burden on the environment, such as making the architecture coexisting with natural environment, using energy-saving new technology, keeping life cycle of architecture blended into history and regional environment around itself. Indeed, there are many works in progress in many parts of the world, which we will have ample opportunity to learn from our key resource persons during this resourceful traveler seminar. Recently, I came across news about the Floria 2012 in Venlo, the Netherlands, about the greenest building with no external fuel, electricity, water, or sewage. How can that be? I believe that the spirit of environmental conservation, sustainable design is high in the national. How much waste we have generated in all. How far we have poisoned the air, soil, and water. How inconsiderate we are as consumers. Sustainable design could heal the world, lessen the risks we have made so far. We can't afford to procrastinate. Even tomorrow, it can be too late. This floor is now declared open for all of you on your joint deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atid. Before we get too wrapped up in the talks in this lectures today, I'd like to invite all our keynote speakers, our panel discussion members, our international participants, as well as RSU's executive team up here on stage for photography. Please come right up. All of the international participants that have traveled here from abroad too, on the traveling workshop, please join us on stage. Thank you very much, everyone. Somewhat indifferent to the typical definition of modern design. I first came to know of his work when I saw his wooden radio online. I was surfing through one of those typical design blogs that is teeming with over-designed and self-consciously elaborate products. His radio jumped off from the screen with its beauty and sheer simplicity. It is a product that embodies the bond between designer, maker, and mass industrialization. This radio is made locally in Indonesia, using traditional materials, techniques, and craftsmen. Nearly lost crafts resurrected in a nearly lost technology. The radio is sold in high design stores across the world, illustrating how the careful craft of a few can inspire the personal affections. Join me in welcoming Dr. Singgi Kartano.
Actually, I want to say sorry because my English is so simple. So I try to make a presentation more visually. So, can you help me? Sorry, can you help me? I'm not familiar with this computer. Sorry, can
Thank you again, Dr. Cartano. Our second keynote speaker is in many ways the energetic pioneer of this Design for Sustainability Symposium, which he has directed for 6 full years prior to this collaboration. Dr. Fumi Masuda is many, many things. He is the director of the Eco-Design Institute, a professor of industrial design and sustainability at Tokyo Zokei University, the president of Open House Incorporated, and a board member of the Japan Institute of Design Promotion. His commitment to education, industry, and environmental reconstruction are a testament to the different roles the designer must play in order to affect change. I believe this is a brilliant and really necessary working model for our practice, that we are flexible in our roles, but firm in our opinion. It is my honor to welcome Dr. Fumi Masuda to speak today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Masuda.
Thank you very much. I do not have my own original T-shirts, as Cindy has. So I bought this at the Lawson Village yesterday. And this morning I wore this. It's me, but I suddenly realized that this is exactly the same design the postman used in Japan 100 years ago. So I'm carrying some information from Japan as a postman. Well, on behalf of the executive committee of Destination 2012 and 2020, the 7th International Conference of Design for Sustainability, I'm very happy to be here and welcome all of you attending the event coming from the entire world. I'd also like to express my appreciation to Rancid University to make this conference realized in collaboration with the first International Design Conference, Work in Progress. Let me give thanks to all of the staff of this epoch-making event, and a special thanks to President Atit Kara and Rancid University, the president of Rancid University, and of my old friend, Associate Professor Dswip, and the site is only 70% of that of the Thailand. Moreover, its narrowness, more than 70% of the land is mountain. In other words, only 30% of the whole lands are useful for farming and urban development. We do not produce any kind of natural resources besides biomass. Almost no minerals, no fossil fuel. In spite of these disadvantages, we have enjoyed a rich culture of crafts and for centuries, likely to other Asian countries. They are all made of natural materials. Even the houses we use is built with wood, paper, glass, soil, tiles, and stones. These are all carbon-free, so-called sustainable materials. And it's an ideal self-sufficient production, similar to bird nest. But the whole situation changed all of a sudden when we had visitors from abroad. We made a decision to open our country after 200 years of isolation and open the competition with Western countries at the same time. Economically, technologically, defeated. The whole country was completely destroyed. But it didn't take more than 10 years after this for Japanese to restart producing these kind of products and start exporting. These are all made in 1950s, when the Good Design Award has started at the same time. Although these products are made in Japan, the materials and production system are totally different from what we used to use traditionally. We had to import almost everything, all the materials and energy, minerals, fossil fuel, and so on. This production system caused heavy environmental destruction and pollution, and also brought shortage of natural resources. Even the output itself was a big. Working hard for the past 20 years, developing so-called eco-design, which was quite successful, especially in Japan. It was successful in technology, successful in market, and of course, in business. But unfortunately, I have to say it was not enough to solve environmental problem after all. The situation is getting even worse. The reason is clear. If you have a better gas mileage car, you will use it more. If you know that most of the new home appliances consume less energy, electricity, you'll be willing to buy air conditioner for every room you have, and large refrigerator, big screen TV, and so on. And this innovation forced me to think about the necessity of social innovation besides technological innovation. That was why we started the International Conference of Design for Sustainability in 2006 to search for a concept, sustainable social design, and this time is the setup. The researchers raised an important question. How could we make our society better to be carried over by generations, taking 7 billion neighborhoods in account? After the disaster of great earthquake and tsunami attacked the northeastern area of Japan, followed by, upon a serious accident at Fukushima nuclear power plant in March last year. The Great East Japan earthquake took place at 2:46 p.m. March 11 to 11. The epicenter was 130 kilometers offshore of northeast Japan. The magnitude was 9.0, the seashore. And 15,872 people were killed. 2,796 are still missing. And 326,873 people became refugees. The tsunami, the communication of communities are all destroyed by these. This picture shows how awful tsunami could be. This is the sea, and I'm standing on this hill. There's a hospital on the hill, and this is the parking lot. The water came from the sea to the first floor of the hospital. That means these areas are all underwater. And it's not a big wave, as we think. It's a very strange experience that you suddenly feel that notice that you're in the bottom of 30 meter, 40 meter deep sea. It will happen in the future, and nobody knows. Well, but the people living there, Japan is a kind of one big community, so that I'm not so worried about this. Instead of this newcomer, we haven't had this before. The whole electric supply for emergency backup system was shut down by a huge earthquake and tsunami, which was said to be beyond expectation. 340 residents became refugees. Those who lived close to the power plant, where the radiation exposure, those exceeded 50 decibel, had to leave their town. And 62,000 moved from Fukushima prefecture already. Maximum ground accumulation rate of cesium-137 in Fukushima is much higher than that of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The total amount of the cesium-173 spread in the air by the accident is about 168 times much as the nuclear bomb dropped in Hiroshima. Or experts promoting and building nuclear power plants anymore. Since they were always emphasizing that the nuclear power are the best solution for this country, and they are designed to be safe. And this distrust turned to be a worry when we had to face a serious energy shortage. We had scheduled blackouts almost every day in Tokyo, because Fukushima nuclear power plant was located in Fukushima prefecture, but not for Fukushima people. It was for Tokyo, really serious blackout. These kind of monitors were appeared all over the city, noticing that you are coming nearly to the limit. But the result was shown here. It was fine. Reduction on average was 18%. Machines working, but it was not bad. It was not bad because it looks a little bit like a European city. And I liked it. As we had record-breaking hot summer last year, the topic was to take more water to avoid heat stroke. That's about last year. This situation has changed this year. All 54 nuclear power plants stopped for regular maintenance and could not start up again before a new safe regulation was dangerous facility from these unstable islands. So they had to change the national policy. And all the electric power companies prepared very quickly. Well, we had serious and it shows the potential and the result. But to see this, I am even quite doubtful about the whole data. It's too well designed. Equipped with self-made solar panels and farmyards to produce foods for themselves and to sell through their original distributing channels. Leaders of this group are in the audience today. Others are moving into a rural community and start creative business with them. They live cheap, get extra time, rich food, and neighbors welcome. And they are even trying to reach the foreign Asian countries like Cambodia. And some of my students are visiting frequently to make some workshop with them and to make them live better in the future, especially for the children. They are very active and friendly. But there's still minorities. Most of young people are getting even more conservative, looking for a chance to get a job in a major industry without knowing how long the company lasts in the unstable economic condition. And they are more big stress on them, anxiety. The ground of concern is not a cultural issue, but an economical issue. Japanese rate of self-efficiency in energy, apart from nuclear, only is one Earth with 7 billion people. Not from a viewpoint of who lives in an economically powerful country, but from a viewpoint of a person living in a potentially poor country. When we talk about sustainability, we are apt to follow the Western concept. But after having a long discussion with my good friends in Europe and America, I started to think that whether they really think about the rest of the people is open to question. Because despite of their thought and effort, they or we, including Japanese ourselves, seems to stick to our quality of life and are not willing to part with even a small portion of our property. To share this only one planet with 7 billion people There's no other way but to distribute our common resources. Once again, seeing Japan as one of the having countries, it could be a misunderstanding. If we put ourselves in the position of one of the poor countries, the world view changes entirely. Asian countries living together, helping each other, sharing our common properties is a basic condition for us. It is a time to build a concept, so to say, Asian sustainability, and to propose to the world, rest of the world, as an alternative model for the new future. In terms of sustainability, there are so many wisdoms in the Asian countries for us to learn. Natural and cultural diversity, social resilience, and the ability to live in both modern and traditional double code are our common characters. Asian sustainability and sustainable lifestyle might be a model of living simple and resilient with both the kind fruits and the fear we get from the nature. The traveling workshop we've carried out this time is just a start of a long journey seeking for agile sustainability and sustainable design to traveling with you again somewhere in the Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masuda, for showing us that I think we are a very high-performance world, but we do run on a very small margin of error. And I guess we in Thailand here can empathize with our friends in Japan. The events of last year have really stressed that no matter how robust we think we are, it's a real delicate balance that we live in. I'd like to invite Professor Sanson Milin Tasud to present a token of our appreciation to Dr. Fumi Masuda. He prefers to work low volume, attending to every detail himself. Han's formative years at Design Academy Eindhoven have shaped him into a true designer. Not merely a profession for Han, but a habit and a way of making sense of the world. Is a unique and handmade industrial object. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Han Coney.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Rangsit University for giving me the opportunity to be here and tell something about my work. And I did explain about my work in groups, but it's the first time it's this big, so I like to take a picture. So let's see if this works. Can you read it? Well, my name is Han Coney, and I'm actually from Holland. I live in a small city in the north of Holland called Groningen. Holland is about, well, by car it would take 3 hours from the north to the south, so it's relatively small. I grew up in a small village called Noordladen. It's a small farmer's village. And when I was about 6 years old, I actually studied first design. I I figured out, because what I did, play around in the garden, and I connected the water hose to the water never empty, and was lightweight. And my parents, they really liked the fact that I liked it. People see the picture and say, well, it would never work because you cannot take the can anywhere. But because I was young, I could erase that part of the story, so it became a valuable thing. So in 2001, this was my master year in Design Academy. I attended a design competition for the HEMA. You might have heard of it. HEMA is a brand in Holland, very popular. And every year they have a competition, and this year they ask you to design a vase for flowers. And I thought, well, first of all, I want to attend the competition, but second of all, I don't want to design a vase because there's too many vases already. And that same day, I returned a bouquet of flowers that I bought at the market because a few of the stems snapped. So I went back to the store and asked them to get new flowers, but they told me that they got stuck in the front of my bicycle wheel, so I could not get new flowers. So I thought, I think I should design a vase, but I should design a vase for the broken flowers. So I thought, well, let's scale down the vase to 3% and combine the two, so I make 103%. And you would get this vase, which you can use for the broken flowers, or maybe you can walk around in your garden without having a big bouquet, just picking up a really beautiful small flower and put it in the little vase on the left. It's not for sale anymore, and people drop the vase. So, dag Han, mijn 103% vaas waar ik elke keer als ik hem gebruik zo van geniet, is stuk gevallen. Mijn vraag is of er nog een mogelijkheid is om opnieuw in het bezit te komen van deze bron. At that time I thought, maybe I can make objects disappear. So, a television, for instance, if it's not used, then maybe it can disappear instead of, when it's turned off, still be very present and attracting a lot of attention. So I got a bit frustrated because I couldn't work with the images that I really liked. The assignments had to be finished on time. Most of the time there wasn't any opportunity to really go in depth into an assignment and come up with a really unique solution, or do really hands-on working instead of behind the computer drawing. So here are some of the sketchbooks with all the sketches in it. So in 2009 I started with this idea, but I had no budget and no money, only a little saving money. And I find it also then very hard because I had a lot of ideas. The books were full of ideas, but if I went to companies or industry, they were not interested because they asked me, can you support the production, or do you have orders so you can pay our bills? So it was impossible. So I went back to the drawing board and I had to start inventing. And this used to be one of my working tables from that time. And I will explain a bit about this product that I have made. So this is the model that I brought to the companies and the industry to ask them if they could help me out to produce it. I thought about, let's make a light stick. I don't know why, I had this sketch in my book and I liked it, and I thought I want to make it. So, And they told me it's impossible, or it's possible, but it costs this much, and therefore it was impossible. So this is the machine that I made it's like an oven. So I warm the material, and I can then reshape the material. And I will show you how it works. It's very secret, so once you've seen that picture or that movie, forget about it, but I show it to you once. Okay, forget about it. And this is the magical box made out of plywood, really low end. I made it in my holiday time with the holiday money I got from teaching in art school. But it worked, and I had my first model, and I was really proud of it. But what I then found out was that my friends, they liked the fact that I was working on this, and they wanted to have it above their table, their dinner table, or their kitchen block, or in their houses. So I could retrieve the money that I spent on the machine, like this one. And maybe interesting, it's kind of technical, but I like the technical part. It doesn't have a mold. So it is just a few wooden sticks which push the material, or a little hockey puck which push the material up. So then the industry saw this and they were like, hey, but you have to, where's the mold? So and then they thought, okay, so, and it made me able to make a few different shapes as well. So if you have a mold, you cannot, because you need to produce 20,000, and I can make 2 or maybe 3. So last year I moved to my laboratory. I started on a few different locations. The machine you saw earlier was in the atelier of my mom. She said, you can build a machine and put it in this corner. So I would ride my bike to a few different spots where I could work. And finally it was logistically not that handy. It was nice riding. Okay, let's see. So this is actually then the release image for this new product that I then came up with. And it also has a film. I won't show that. It's kind of the same, but then it shows the whole thing. This is kind of how I hardly ever print stuff or distribute stuff like that. So I use the internet and the website to show on the progress of my work. Well, I can also go into detail about this product, but it is, I will keep it short. It's about experimenting with a specific paper which tends to shrink after you made it wet. I used it when I was small to make little model airplanes, and I really liked it. So I thought, well, if I can use that to apply it on a frame, what are the possibilities? So here you see the half-finished product. It became a lamp with LED power inside. And this is the other part which then I really like is delivering the product to the friend that bought it from me. So everything I make is made one by one. So I don't have any how do you call it, stock. I don't have any. It's made on order, and it takes long to realize. So you have to wait pretty long. And I don't have a lot of space in the development room, so I have to be practical as well. And this is what I started half year ago. It is the plastic shape you recognize maybe. I copied it in gips, so in plaster, you would say. And I casted, gietklei, how do you call it? It's clay, casting clay. So I'm interested in how I can then try to make this shape in a different material. And I also am interested in, I'm interested in the crossover of the way you get the shape, the forcing technique, and then copying it into a completely different material and seeing what happens. Vervreemden, we would say it in Holland. It's like making it strange, but then with a little bit positive. Together hand in hand, you could say. Take a look. Also forget after you've seen it, please. Hurry. Vingers gekruist houden. So to be really honest, every day I have a lot of fun, but every day I also think about is it good what I'm doing, and probably making objects disappear is a solution, but it's not the solution. So for me also the ideal way of designing something like a musician without all the traveling shows, but like music, you know, being there but not having any material or anything to fabricate. But to be honest, I'm maybe not, I have no solution yet, so hope to come up with answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koning, for giving us an unedited view of your creative process. I'd like to invite Professor Underwood Sarat Salin to present a token of our appreciation to Mr. Koning.
บุญเพลงพระหาสันสารุ่งเรืองแลบ้างบานเบิกฟ้าฝึกฟื้นใจบุญเรื่องไตรรัตน์พ้นพันแสงริมรถพระธรรมแสดงข้ามเช้าเจดีย์ระดับแสงเสียดยอดยนยิ่งแสงแก้วข้าวแก่นล่าลาสวรรค์มาร่วมสร้างอยุธยากับมหาวิทยาลัยรังสิต
But for your refreshments, we have coffee and tea in the corridor outside. Please feel free to help yourself. Thank you for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, now our panel of discussion will begin. So I would like to ask Mrs. Orapan Sarasari to be our moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Thailand. I'm very excited today to have the chance to speak with 4 outstanding professionals from a variety of backgrounds. In keeping with the spirit of our theme, Work in Progress, we've invited 4 very, very different individuals to share their insight about our changing role as designers, academics, practitioners, leaders, and very importantly, as team players. So I'd like to introduce each person. Mr. Makon Chawanit is the president of Thailand's Industrial Design Association, as well as the director of Cerebrum Design, an award-winning design and strategy team specializing in innovation design, research, brand identity, and business concept design. He has worked for global brands such as Philips, Citizen, and iMobile, and continues to work internationally through his business, Cerebrum Design, pushing Thai products towards the global market through innovative business strategy. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Makon Chawani. Secondly, we have Mr. Sirisak Pasharin. He is the president of the Thai Animation and Computer Graphics Association, as well as the director of Imagimax, a leading animation and design studio here in Thailand, specializing in 3D animation for television, for games, and for advertising. He also plays a very active role in education, participating on various higher-level education curriculum boards for animation and new media programs all over Thailand. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Surisa. Thirdly, I'd like to welcome Mr. Chatpong Chirudimon. He is an architect practicing here in Bangkok, trained at UC Berkeley as well as Harvard University. Mr. Chatpong moved back to Thailand and started the award-winning BAR, or Bangkok Architectural Research, in 2004. And more recently, Mr. Chatpong formed his own practice called Chat Architects, with the same intent of exploring the processes of research-based design at various scales, ranging from interiors to architecture to urban design. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Chatpong. And here by my side, Mr. Praveen Nahar is an associate senior faculty member in industrial design at the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad, India. His background is in industrial design and sustainable design, and he has worked extensively on research projects with both the private and the public sectors, ranging from Indian Railways to Panasonic to Pininfarina. Praveen has been actively involved in academic projects with students concerning systems thinking and design. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Praveen. And we also teach at the MFA program in design here at Rangsit University. So for this panel discussion, we're all from such varied backgrounds, and I have to admit that it was quite challenging to try to figure out exactly how we would all tie in together. But today I'd like to talk about responsibility. As designers, I believe we hold the highest responsibility for the environment. Not because, not only are we processing materials in order to make things, but we are also shaping the ways in which people communicate, socialize, travel, learn. So with sustainability, I think we must tackle this challenge very boldly and from many different angles and practices. Even though this is a challenge for all of humankind, I've always felt that the lead responsibility is ours as designers. 2 days ago, a large group of us, myself and Praveen included, traveled to Kanchanaburi, and we had the wonderful opportunity of meeting a Vietnamese-born American monk at Wat Sunan Thap Vanaram in Kanchanaburi. This monk spoke to us about environmental issues and sustainable design, and he had some very acute observations about human habits and desires. The thing that he talked about that has been resonating in my mind ever since is the idea of living a more simple life, of wanting less things, of owning less, and of consuming less, even possible. What are the side effects of this new economy? Once we have satiated our basic needs, it is human nature, I feel, to enjoy objects, to want things, and to collect things, and to take pleasure in options and variety. Waste equals food. So humans can continue to indulge in our desires for change and for new objects and not feel guilty about it. So products, for example, products that people lose interest in, such as cars or cell phones or furniture, can actually be designed for obsolescence so that when you're done using them, they can be traded in for something new with no loss of resources and very little impact on the environment.
We should be flexible enough to do the best thing.
Well, I can only speak in terms of architecture. So you mentioned yourself, the client, and the user. I think it comes with experience that at first, when you first start at least designing environments, we have to be honest. The last in the list is probably the user. I have to be honest. When you come out of school, you want to do great buildings, and when you get your first clients, your client is the first one who's going to be paying you, right? So initially, when you start an architectural practice, it's you and the client. But as you practice 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and the thing that I enjoy most right now is seeing how our environments or our buildings age and going back and taking pictures. Now I enjoy looking at pictures of my older buildings more than I do of pictures of my new buildings, which are polished. So once a building takes on a life of its own, you see your failings, you see your successes, and you see how people use your buildings in ways that you hadn't imagined. So that's the thing that's meaningful right now. So the balance shifts a little bit. But you still give as much importance to the client as you ever did in the beginning. And hopefully you know yourself a little bit better, but the end user, for architecture at least, it's a longer time span for you to see the results of how the user reacts to it. So that's in terms of architecture.
And now it's time to break for lunch. I'd like to invite the group of keynotes, the panel of discussion guests, and vegetarians to the 8th floor. We have set up a buffet-style lunch in the corridor outside the conference room for other participants. And for those who of you who are students, please go to the 2nd floor. We will resume at 1 o'clock here in this room for the traveling workshop presentation, and in the room 308 for the research presentation. Thank you very much.
If it doesn't work out.
You want to take over the business?
ครับผมสนุกครับขอบคุณมากสนุกแม่ลูกสวยทั้งสองคนเลยน่ารัก
เพิ่งได้พบวันนี้ความคิดสุดยอดเลยค่ะ
No, I'm gonna go eat. After you finish this meal, right? I went over to my wife.
เอาเหรอไม่มีปัญหา
ถ่ายเอาค่ะขอสักชุดหนึ่งนะคะ
Thank
เกษียณออกมาก่อนตอนปี44แล้วมาปีแล้วเนี่ยวัดถึงไปไม่ได้เงินส่วนเกษียณปี43ทำไม่ได้นะครับทนายฟ้องร้องเอาก็ไม่ได้เงินที่นี่ก็เป็นว่าสมัยลุงไม่ได้ฟ้องเพราะลุงถือว่าลุงเป็นพนักงานของเขาแล้วก็ทำมาเป็นที่นั่นฟ้องร้องก็รอรับปีก็ถึงได้รับการรอรับแต่เราเป็นปีเรื่องนึงนะปีสองปี
Thank you.
ไม่เยอะแล้วเนาะ
เหลือกลุ่มญี่ปุ่นเขมรด้วย
แต่บางส่วนก็กลับไปกันเยอะแล้วนี่เนาะ
เนี่ยทยอยเข้ามาเยอะที่คนไทย
สุวรรณไอ้นี่ไงคะอาจารย์สุวรรณของขุนเทียนไอ้อะไรอ่ะหวายอะไรนะเฟอร์นิเจอร์หวายอ่ะเนี่ยใช่แบบนี้ป่ะใช่
enjoy relationship, among each other. I just want to tell you that we love you so much, and hope that what your goal, that all of you are here, just one goal is, to design, to fight for good design, for the best, to do our role as duty as designer, as teachers, as professionals, and I just hope that what we have discussed will be fruitful when you go back, and as well here at Ramsey University. Especially, thank you so much for me to have this time and so much. Really admire all Mr. Han, Professor Lewin, Professor Lang Yan Yan, all of you here that I cannot mention the name, but all of you inspire us so much, and we hope that you will enjoy this farewell moment together. And I love you so much. I wish you very well all.
Import and
ไม่ใช่เชเวอร์ครับอะไรนะอินโดนีเซียนไอแลนด์
ภาษาญี่ปุ่นไม่ต้องอธิบายภาษาญี่ปุ่น
he make a paper share you know I asked him to use the back paper share สั้นๆให้เอาชิคเก้นไปเต็กใส่โกเต็กเขาทำเก้าอี้จักรยานเราบอกลองเอาแบงค์พันทำเนี่ยจะดังมากเลยมันจะใช้ประมาณ50 ล้านต่อ1 ตัวเก้าอี้
ไม่ดังจะหายก่อนดีกว่าดีแล้วตั้งสติได้ไม่เชื่อ
อาจารย์รักอีโซบอกเป็นไอซีเนียHe's likeไอสไตล์ร้านนี้ทำเป็นลูกน้องผมจะมีปี2ใช่นี่เขาเป็นศิลปินศิลปากรนะเราเป็นศิลปินแถวสาทรถ้าสมมติว่าไงอะไรนะวอเตอร์อะไรนะไฮยาซินเป็นได้ชื่อว่าแอปอินโดนีเซียแอปก็มอเตอร์อินเลยไม่คิดนะกินใช่กินเครื่องไหนสิงคโปร์โทรนโต
ยิงกันล่าสุดเห็นจะลงแกน